Okay, then we get into turns and rolling turns. Anybody not know the turn? A lot of good questions come up at contests with new basic pilots on the turns. Okay, because a pilot that doesn't know the criteria, they'll just go do a turn. They'll just set it at 45 degrees and they'll fly a nice rolling turn entry. And I think that was Coachella, or was it Florence? There was one of the basic kids that were just starting to fly. Just flying a really nice, beautiful rolling turn entry, setting about 45 degrees. I said, okay, don't do that anymore. And it's, again, it's one of those kids, you just tell them once and they don't ever do it again.
That was Manuel Jr.
Okay.
Well, I think a big thing that comes in with the basic pilots on that turn is, do they integrate it and come in smooth? Do they have to exit out the same way when they come back around? Or do they snap the wings in and then they come out softly? Is that a downgrade?
I don't even know which criteria you were talking about. Let's talk about what the criteria.
The 360 circle.
The criteria is, yeah, you were talking about snapping and.
Not snapping. I'm just talking about a basic 360 circle. It's our first maneuver, right? The basic.
Walk us through the criteria.
Okay.
Walk us through that.
So criteria for turns are real simple. I mean, we had Bernie Bolin just berate me because he was a hot dog pilot and got a 5 on an aerobatic turn.
Okay.
It's like, well, Bernie, you don't know the criteria. Here's how it works. So real simple. I mean, we're flying that track parallel. It's always pretty much always going to be parallel for the aerobatic turns. It seems like I don't think I've ever seen one start on the y-axis, but on that track, okay, we set the wings between 60 and 90 degrees. Okay, so any less than 60 is a deduction. Half point per 5 degrees. Half point per 5 degrees. Anything less than 60. Okay, and then we initiate the turning portion.
And you move the degrees right at center, right there, or can you go in a little? Where does it
Do you
start?
pop the wings or do you smoothly?
Roll rate is not a criteria.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to enter and exit in the same way.
The rate does have to be the same on the entry and exit. Absolutely.
Okay.
When we get to that point.
Roll into the turn.
Yeah, that's the point. You'll see pilots that don't know the criteria
Fast in the turn.
kind of do
Roll into the turn.
That's what I'm.
they'll do the tip, like when we normally fly around, we're always kind of rolling and pulling at the same time. Okay, that's not how this maneuver is. You're on track, you set your degrees, and then you initiate the radius. Okay, wings have to stay the same all the way through.
By your collar.
Is it biting?
You know in a moment.
Yeah.
This
There he
way?
is. There he is.
No, that's it. Okay, so we're gonna judge radius. We want that constant radius. Could be a real challenge in the wind. Okay, you got wind. Gonna be tough for the pilots. Benefit of that to the pilot, but we want to see that radius.
Entering and exiting that maneuver, you only judge the radius. You don't, and the wing angle.
Wings
you
need to
don't
stay the
judge-
same all the way through. Okay.
You don't judge the entrance or the exit.
As far as where it's at, back to like what with the loop discussion, yeah, we're not judging where you started and where you ended. Nope.
You're judging elevation changes
Yep.
and wing changes.
So we're going to get you to make sure you're between 60 and 90, set it, leave it there. Okay. We want you to fly a constant radius all the way through. Okay. And then when you get back on the correct track, the exit heading that we're looking for, then you roll back to level. After one plane length, that's your exit. And so whatever, if you don't get back to level, your pitch, blah, 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 that's your typical exit errors, one length after you get back. Okay, so deductions are simple. If you're already back, you're back on the correct heading and your wings are still not level. Okay. So you get back on heading and then get us back to level. So it's not a rolling exit either. Okay, and then somebody mentioned the roll rate on the exit needs to be the same roll rate as the entry. So a lot of times it's pretty common to see a pretty nice graceful one coming in and a pretty fast one coming out.
Right.
Because we're in a hurry. Yeah, it happens a lot. And because we're in a hurry, it's like I'm ready to move on to the next maneuver. I'm done focusing on this one. I'm done. Okay, so yeah, and so as a judge, it's actually kind of tricky to remember. Okay, what rate did they use on the way in? Paying attention to the thing all the way through. Now it's 10 seconds later or something. Okay, benefit of the doubt to the pilot. If you see a nice graceful one in, a real snap, real quick one on the out, absolutely no question it didn't match. Okay, take your point for the rates not being the same. Okay, JT mentioned the altitude. Okay, so we need to be at the same altitude all the way through. If you go on, you'll see those videos. Turns and rolling turns will appear that they drop a little bit out at the back. Okay, 50 feet at the front of the box, 50 foot at the back of that turn is going to feel pretty low compared to what you have at the front. Okay, so again, benefit of the doubt to the pilot on that elevation. Now it's real clear if they're weaving around that the elevation's changing, but if it's a nice constant all the way around, benefit of the doubt to the pilot that it's going to look lower at the back. Okay, so Rolling turns are got the same radius thing going on, but then we're going to add some rolls on those turns. Okay, and the question was, do we judge that exit point? And again, the answer is no. I'm judging the radius changes and flat spots as we go around. If I don't see any, doesn't matter where it ended up compared to where it started. If I didn't see any, there's no deductions. I'm not going to make it up at the end. It's like, well, there must have been one somewhere. No, if I didn't see it, it's not there. Okay, you only deduct the errors you see. Okay. Rolling turns, they do initiate at the same time. So the roll and the radius initiate at the same time. Most of the rolling elements, pilot's choice. Rolling elements on internal lines, pilot gets to choose left, right, blah, blah, blah. Rolling turns aren't like that. It will absolutely indicate whether you're rolling into the radius or out of the radius. It's not pilot's choice on the rolling turns. That's probably the key from a judging standpoint. Is it an in, out, in? Is it all in? Is it all out? Blah, blah, blah. What's Unlimited have? One roll to the outside? They've got something in there,
Yeah,
no?
one giant roll.
Outside or inside?
It's from inside.
Not okay, so they've got one roll in through a 360 rolling turn. Pilot doesn't get to choose. Okay, the arrestee is drone it rolling into the inside of the circle. They don't get to choose to roll to the outside. So as a judge, you really got to pay attention when you see that arrestee, which way the arrows are going. Most of the times you don't have to worry about that. Okay, same thing. Radius changes, flat spots. The things that have stoppages in that roll is a point deduction. So especially on that one roll rolling circle 360 degrees, probably not too uncommon for it to stop for a second and not have any roll as they're trying to catch up or slow down to meet where they want to be, okay? Each of those flat spots, each of those radius changes is a point. Tricky judging on rolling turns because we do not judge cardinal points on a rolling turn. Okay, so let's use one. For simplicity, let's do 4 rolls in 360. Okay. Typically on internal lines, different elements, they can be different rates. I've got a 3/4 roll, opposite 3/4 roll on my 45 down. Those two do not have to be the same rate. They're two totally separate elements. On a rolling turn, all of the rolls on that rolling turn have to be the same rate. Okay. Makes it a little more fun for the pilots. Makes it for us. The key point is with the wind blowing, we'll get right back to you, Dave, with the wind blowing, you will absolutely, as a pilot, and I'll just give you a good example. Let's do a 2 roll. You would say, okay, they're upright, they should be upright at the back and upright at the front. Well, that's just not at all, because I could be flying the airplane really fast. I could have the exact same roll rate, be flying the airplane really fast, and end up way over here. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to slow my airplane down. Okay? I'm going to have the exact same roll rate. I'm going to have the exact same radius, but I'm just going to fly slower speed.
But you're not changing
So
the roll rate.
the roll rate has not changed.
So no point
Okay?
deduction because the roll rate.
My radius is the same. My altitude's the same. The roll rate was the same. The cardinal point is irrelevant. Okay? And the pilots are good enough to adjust the speed of their airplane to end up where they need to end up. We do not judge cardinal points on a rolling turn, and that's why, especially in the wind. Okay, the wind's going to be howling you this way. Okay, so you're going to end up way late or way early or whatever you want to call it, but then you're going into the wind. Now all of a sudden your roll rate hasn't changed, but you're making much less progress across the ground.
Yeah, but you don't have to tie it back in to
So-
where you started.
So my only point is because of the wind and because of what the pilot can do with this throttle and the airspeed, we could care less about the cardinal points. That's the only thing with that. Do not be looking for 90, 90, 90, 90, any of that business. Just judge radius, just judge roll rate. 1 point for each stoppage, a point for each change in the roll rate. So rolling turns are tough. Apparently they're fairly easy for the full scale because they're kind of low K. All right. Yes, there was a question, Dave. Sorry about that.
Going back to your roll rate within the rolling turn, unlinked rolls within that turn. Can those roll rates be separate?
Are you still talking about rolling turns?
You just said they have to be the same.
Yeah.
Unlinked rolls.
You're talking about opposite.
Right.
Yeah, because they can all be the same. They can be opposite.
So unlinked rolls can be different roll rates than.
Not on a rolling turn. That's what I was talking about. That's the point I was making. On my 45 down, I got a 3/4 roll, opposite 3/4 roll. Those are two totally different elements, can be two totally different roll rates. They're judged as two totally separate maneuvers. Okay, on a rolling turn, All of the rolls, like say we're doing one in, one out, one in, one out, they all have to be the same in a rolling turn. Okay,
They're not considered unlinked in a rolling turn.
Yeah, you're right.
that's just the criteria for a rolling turn. All of the roll rates have to be the same throughout for all the rolls on that rolling turn.